Welcome to Jnanavardhini, FDBP's weekly knowledge session. Today we have yet another interesting topic, applicability in AI and its role in regulation. Session is being conducted by Deepalakshmi. Deepa handles the legal function of Quess and its group companies. She has diverse experience in cross-border transactions, strategic global alliances, merger and acquisition activities, and legal compliances. She's also managing the company's data privacy framework and compliances as global DPO. Deepa regularly speaks at various knowledge sharing forums and has authored articles on data protection and IT laws, privacy and IoT, cyber laws in India, and women empowerment, which was published in international journals. Very experienced professional and very insightful speaker. Deepa, over to you.
Thanks, Manju. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So thanks to FTPPA team for giving again an opportunity in the beginning of this year. So thanks, Navi sir, suggesting this topic. It's even for me, this topic is slightly, theoretical knowledge, maybe pardon my technical knowledge. So I thought, let me share my 2 cents of whatever I've been learning or understanding from the industries or articles. And I'm happy to learn from the industry veterans. And today's session may be truly going to be the interactive and knowledge sharing session with all of us. Though I may be taking a lead, but yeah, I look forward for all your views and perspective. So I look at it, AI, artificial intelligence today become an inevitable technology in a day-to-day life for us. But I still believe that it's kind of a black box. So, but if you ask me, AI is being deployed in the various critical applications, healthcare, finance, or defense. I think self-driving vehicles, though we deployed, I think we have been seeing that lot of instances, issues, leakages, which are due to an AI failures. So I think that's where when we are looking at to put out how these failures are happening, what could be the rationale behind this, and why somebody is unable to fix these issues. I think when we are trying to find it out, the one jargon today it's been coming out overall is the explainable AI or explainability in AI, the principle. So I think today we are going to deliberate on. Let me share the agenda, how this will help us out to keep us engaged on the entire next 30 to 45 minutes. I would like to probably put it across why we are looking for this explainable AI is required in the current scenario and what it means, and probably, quick glimpse of the definitions and how the history, when we started using it and why it is important, and what are the challenges of implementing this explainable AI, and how these regulations are evolving across the globe. And again, what would be their benefits and what are the perspectives, which is from primarily, I would like to share the views from the European Union and US perspective. So, yeah. So as I said, AI is giving a tremendous benefit. There are no doubts on it. But the effectiveness, which is an outcome of this machine learning, is unable to explain the decisions to the users, or if somebody is raising the concerns, whether it can be from an judicial perspective or an ethical perspective, questioning the major challenges on the lack of giving the explanations or interpretation, how it worked on it. And if you look at it today, there is a very famous case, even Tesla or Uber, they couldn't predict it met with an accident, but it couldn't predict what happened to why it led to that accident, why it couldn't avoid that. I think that's we are lagging. Sometime in healthcare, there are clinical requirements and suggestions are coming. AI-enabled surgeries are becoming and more famous. They are calling it out as an robotic surgery, keyhole surgeries. At times, there are failures happening. We are unable to predict it, why the clinical requirements are going as a failure. Though the failure rates are maybe not reportable, or it's coming in the very, very nominal, which is in less than 10%, though it is not reported as a significant. But I feel that's going to be crucial if it's not reported, and which is going to cause a loss to a human life, whether directly or indirectly. So whether the failure rate is 1% or failure rate is 100%, it doesn't mean that the impact is, we cannot predict it and we cannot quantify that. So that's where I try to bring it out as a concept of AI is still in the concept of a black box. And more worrisome part is we started using in the defense as well, whether you wanted to send it to drones, satellite, or analyzing the country's entire security systems. I think that's the more crucial part in terms of protecting the national security and terrorism, those perspective as well. So definitely, I think AI is giving, there are failures, it is giving us a mistakes, errors which are happening, but we are unable to predict those. And if we keep going it, I think users or stakeholders may not adapt to this technology, though they are looking at a tremendous benefit. But in the long term, how this adaptability will come, or will that be a sustainability of this technology in a critical application? Maybe on the regular day-to-day basis, it's fine. But will that happen to a critical applications? I think that is questionable now. The recent issues, I think, where everybody would have known is that deep fake video, right? That Ukraine president was surrendering to the Russia, though the conflicts were still going on. I think that breach happened, and the terrorist has hacked it and posted that video. So that's a complete AI based, which is appearance, speech, everything modulation. It's been completely AI has driven that deepfake video. And second one, very, very famous, genuine one, which we all more worried, more relevant to my industry as well, which I've been working in the human services industry, which is an Amazon. But Amazon has the muscle power. I think they have chucked it off the application, AI application, which is primarily they developed to source the candidate or a job based on the skills and other thing. They thought the AI is working on the more fairness and the ethical way, but they understand that there was a discrimination. AI itself decide based on the role and the location. It used to pick up more on the male candidate, and though there are a female candidate suitable to the skill and whatever the requirement, but AA has not chosen that. So they realized it. I think there was a huge issues created. So we heard it out, Amazon checked it out, but I'm not sure what the current status. So keeping all these issues, I strongly believe it's a need for an explainable AI model to be, or principle to be followed in whatever the AI system which we are building today. How we are trying to bring today privacy by design. Probably we need to culminate ourselves to the culture of explainable AI model, building it as part of any applications or product. So what is explainable AI? So we know that out, yes, it needs to be developed, but what it means. So there are various definitions, and multiple people are giving their perspectives. If we look at it critically on three definitions, which I just taken it off. One is the definition given by an IBM, Google Cloud, and Defense Academy of US as well. So if you look at it, AI is a set of process or method which allows a human users. End of the day, it is ultimately a consumer. You worked it in your B2B model or a B2C model. It doesn't matter. It is going to be giving an output to the users, which is ultimately all of us, to comprehend the trust and results which is created by the machine learning. AI programs are basically from machine learning algorithms. I think that's, pardon my technical knowledge. If it is some other algorithms are used, please feel free to let me know. I will also learn on that. From a Google perspective, cloud perspective, they are saying it's a tool or framework which helps to understand and interpret the predictions based on the data which has been fed in the input. So when it comes to the defense agency of US, which they are saying the techniques which has been used to help the human users to understand and appropriately trust and effectively manage the emerging generations. Today, we all know it's no doubt on it whether you have an input and there is an output. But the intermediary process or modeling which has been built in a system, how that is giving the output, whether that output is not biased, not discriminated, I think that's not yet addressed through any written document or acceptable form of the document to the public. So I don't think so. You have a transparent document today prevailing why that AI has predicted this answer. For every transaction, I mean, it's not for overall as a design, but how every transaction, every scenario or instances, how will that can consider. See, if you look at it, the keywords which broadly I have highlighted in the purple and green, the purple says what it is, a process or method or framework, techniques, whatever. But what is the outcome which we are expecting? The terminologies, if you look at it, which is a comprehend, trust, understandable, interpretable, I think manageable. If you look at it, these words, if you find a synonym somewhere, all these keywords lead to an explainable. What is required to be explainable to show the transparency, or because in entire ecosystem of this digital era, the very, very key crucial role is the transparency and accountability plays in terms of any regulations. I think so. To go with that accountability and transparency principle, that explainable is in very, very key aspects, which may lead to that factors achievable. So in explainable AI is a crucial and which understands the decision making process, as we have been saying. If you look at it, the recent regulation, which is an European Union Artificial Intelligence Act, I think they have very clearly created a separate chapter for this, how this is going to set as a tool which will help you to comply to the regulation. So it's been very exhaustively given. I think that itself needs a separate session for us to deliberate on it. And overall, also, if you look at it, the OECD AA principle, it's among its 5 principle. I think this is a third principle, which also very clearly set out in transparency and explainability. So I think the concept is not something new, which has been emerging and which has been already given and started in the last over a decade. Explainability is playing a crucial role. So when we see that out, okay, when we started this journey, where we started using the terminology, we know that out AI has been started in a probably more than a decade. But when the terminology started using, apart from OECD, the first before OECD itself, in 1993, Mr. Swartwood Moore used this terminology of explainability. So why he used it? He wants to say that out. We need to have the outcomes of an AI should be interpreting the decisions and system has to be introduced. So that's where he started using why explainability is required in 1993, which may be, I think, 2 decades ago. And after that, the typical terminology of explainability is being introduced or coined by Van Len by 2004, which is, I think, approximately a decade ago, right? So now I think this jargon is everywhere. And we know that today, without an AI, whether knowingly or unknowingly, directly or indirectly, whether you like it or you don't like it, I think you got into the system, because our world is being driven, our entire day is being driven by various technology products which are made, outcome of and machine learning. So that's where it became a hot topic today. It is very crucial and complex. We are all need to understand and how this is going to shape our future decade. So whatever we have spoken, I try to put it out on the conceptual basis, so which definitely will help all of us to understand whether we are technically sound or legally sound. So this is the flowchart or diagram. The first piece, the upper part clearly shows that out what we do. Train today, we train, learning process and outcome comes. And even if you ask me today, in our own system, the legal contractual review process, we do have an AI. So it reviews and it gives the data to me. And if I ask what is my indemnity, what is my liability, it throws all the data. but I'm not sure whether the data thrown by AI is an accurate, or is it the right data has been picked up from the right section. If there are 3 or 4 clauses being interlinked, which has been referred, the similar clauses, where is it picks up. So we need a human being to check that out. So today we deploy, but still we need a human resource, probably a skilled resource. So I no need to do it, but we need to know this is a skilled resource who can able to validate quickly, more effectively, that what the answers which has come is the right or not. If I find it which is not suitable, today I don't know why AI has picked up, why AI has done that error to me. Okay, so this is again, I need to train. I'm creating another document which I'm depending on the technologies or the developers to rework on these models. So I think that's where we are slightly lagging. We don't have that confidence. So I cannot go back and tell or take a decision that today I don't need a human being, though it is an AI-enabled systems are implemented, will reduce the headcount. I cannot give that assurance. So it's a dual cost which we are incurring operationally, if you ask me. Though we are tech-enabled, but I need to go with the alternate mechanism to still validate. If we all believe in, if explainable AI comes in, the way what we assume, it's purely an assumption. According to me, it is right now, it's an assumption. Uh, Everybody are working on it. It is an evolving topic. If we see that out, the learning process, probably different methods. I'm not sure which may come back. I'm saying today I train within 500 documents with one every language and other things. Tomorrow it may be a different method. Maybe it'll help me to do it. That method will help me to have a modeling, which the techie team can build the explainable model, then the outcome would be always good, and which will also give a reason to me. As I said, now it chooses from out of 3 clauses, 1 clause is the one crucial. Then if it gives the answers to me, why not? It is easy for me itself to fix. Today, how we have an application that admin users can have do a level 1 or whatever the tier level of an issues can be managed at a non-legal or non-technical person. I think these kind of issues would really give us. It's not only in a legal domain. I'm just taken because it's quick, easy for me to correlate and give the flow. I'm saying every domain. It can be a defense, it can be in healthcare, or it can be NBFC finance. So why loans can be given, why loan cannot be given, or why the limit has been categorically fixed, why it is an upper limit, lower limit, or sometime some of the transactions has been in the banks. I have heard that out. It throws the pop-up as in suspicious transactions. We are not sure, but we typically, the system is failing or our people are failing to identify that transaction as a suspicious transaction. It may be biased or discrimination, whatever. I think there are various critical areas we are playing. I'm sure that out, maybe everybody will agree this principle or this model is going to be the key factor for the future. Some of the pillars, if we look at it, when we are looking at as a same explainable AI, how are we going to do, what pillars to be built from an technology angle? But I wanted to put this out from a layman perspective of an users, so that it is easy for us. An end of the day, we are all user in one of the other way. So first, it has to trace. Its ability to trace the prediction process. Though you make them to learn, at any point in time, the failure should not happen on the predictability of the process, aligned with your algorithm of math, what you are trying to design in that. The second is a reasonableness. So the ability to understand the reasoning behind each individual prediction, as I said. So every prediction has to come. It cannot be giving it out as an overall, this entire month, this is a sum of the few predictions. It won't be. If any single transaction, it has to give why it has to be on this. The third is the understandable AI. It has the ability to completely understand the model and on which the decisions are made, so that it gives complete transparency to the output, what it is getting delivered. The user who is going to be taken, whether they are impacted or not beneficiary, I think that will help them to decide that factor. I think overall, to sum up, why we need an explainable AI, I think the pointers are on the left side. So trustworthiness, fairness, responsibility, transparency, and bias. What is explainable AI going to do based on the definition, the keywords? If you look at it, it's the same thing. It is going to be a trustable, interpretable, comprehensible, understandable and manageable. I think this is the one slide which broadly captures what we were going through in the last 4, 5 slides. So I think this is the overall. I just want to sum up that history, how the journey and how it was used. This is another part now which we are going to do is very, very crucial part now. The regulations. It's explainability. We are talking on the principle, but look at it on the AI regulation. Do we have a regulation today? How it is happening? It's whether in India or across the globe. And I don't think so. Any country has passed a separate AI Act in the world today. Okay. Other than EU has passed, but officially, I think they are yet to get the consent from their own, the legislature, all that is pending. But however, in the last decade, we can see that a lot of countries have adopted a proactive approach. Because passing a regulation is not that easy. The law has to come out, and law cannot be passed for every technology. I think this is another debatable topic which we have been doing it. So we can see that out the governments and the countries are taking the proactive approach in terms of giving in standards, frameworks, and guidelines. What the organization or enterprises in the country they have to follow when they are trying to adopt these technologies or using these tools as their product or services in whatever means on that, right? How is AI can be regulated? AI can be regulated. The fundamental is how we have a principles, at least any law which can be developed based on the some of the principles. I think the same principles we go with the primary principles is OECD principle. It's for the data privacy also. I think data protection OECD set the benchmark for the entire globe. The same way, I think in AI also OECD has come back with the proactively the principles which are value-based, human-created, human-centered values and fairness, transparency and explainability, robustness, security, safety, accountability, inclusive growth, sustainable development, and well-being. Many of these principles, you can see the total replica of our data privacy principle, because in overall regulation, when we are looking at it from a legal perspective, what is the governance, what needs to be taken care. One is an intellectual property. The other major concern is on your data protection and security. And technical side, yes, definitely there is a cyber security angles as well comes in. So almost your consequences and impact of governance focus on both the aspects remain same. So that's where your principles are done. These principles, again, they have endorsed in the G20, which recently happened in India as well. So few countries who are ahead of this curve, if you look at it, I think Australia, Brazil, US, European Union, no doubt on it, California, UK, Singapore. India has also joined in the race in last couple of years. China, Canada, Japan. I'm sure the European Union, US or UK related the policies and guidelines or the pipeline laws have adopted a more flexible and sector-specific guideline. If you look at it, US has already adopted, they are primarily going with all the laws in that way. Same for AI as well. They are looking at a sector-specific. When it comes to European Union, they have adopted as a comprehensive, holistic law which to govern everything. So I think which is going to encourage the best practices across the industries and countries. It's a wait and watch on that. Some of the quick snapshot I have put in, if time permits, probably I'll take another 5 minutes or 7 minutes. So I'll walk you through on this and some public domain note, which also bifurcated and giving a broader snapshot of how EU and as well as the US has the approach in handling this AI related act. So European Union, yes, there is a separate act has been passed in December, which is a risk-based approach, which is a comprehensive law. It is a risk-based approach. I think they broadly categorize as the 4 different risks. So minimum, high, unacceptable risk and specific transparency risk. So every risk they have given an illustrations as well. So minimum, I don't think so any concerns are there. You can go with that. High, you need to relook at it, ensure that how your transparency or this XAI model will be built on it, how you can overcome, you have to do. Unacceptable risk or all these concerns, I think it is not even going to get clearance. It's been very clearly given. And unacceptable risk, sometimes it comes, especially the Amazon kind of an hiring practices or critical application. I'm 100% sure that may come under this category. So any organization who is deploying these AI related applications will be mindful on this when they wanted to comply with this. So Brazil, I think it's been last 4 years. There are a lot of deliberation. The bills, it replaced this 2338 2023 bill replaced more than the 3 bills. In the last 4 years, it's been a lot of deliberations which are happening, but it is yet to be published for the approvals, and white papers are evolving in the country as well. So California, similarly, they do have an assembly bill which got passed recently, and they are looking to got an comprehensive act rather than sector specific. And US, yes, there is no single law. They prefer to go with always the sector specific, that is very clear. But this time the bill, the National AI Commission bill, which is mandating the overall looking at all the state specific or existing AI related guidelines and laws of their entire countries, and they would like to come back with the framework on this. So it's kind of a blue ribbon commission. They have called it out, so they are working on it. Already in Illinois, New York, there are certain act and tools or the guidelines which are prevailing, which may relate to an AI related applications. Yes, China, it's more interesting. China has released the security standards, and they are also very proactive on this, focusing on many then AZZ zones of to focus on artificial intelligence promotions and giving an other kind of benefits to them for the organization which is creating on all these things. UK doesn't have a separate law as on date, but it published an ethics guidelines and strategies how the organization can work, look at it from a business perspective. So, but overall, ICO overlooks the privacy aspects of AI in these cases. So they already having a superseding power on this. And Singapore, the existing PDPA also, Singapore and India, I can say that the DPDA, the existing act, to the extent reasonably covers the privacy angles of any technology. It's not only an AI, any technology. Singapore as well, it covers the specifically like in technologies of broader spectrum. But Singapore is very proactive. They have already given an governance framework of AI, which is, and the government is monitoring this very closely compared to other Asian countries. I think Singapore is pioneer in this. And India, apart from DPDA, I think we have Niti Aayog has given some of the responsible AI and those guidelines and policies. But India has been indicating that we don't want to pass in separate law. We don't need it. Maybe Digital India Act should address. And yeah, it's the journey we need to look forward. So considering in DPDPA, how it happens, I don't think so. It'll take a longer time. Hopefully, we should see the position of government and other perspectives here. So when it comes to Japan, Japan has already introduced the AI ethical guidelines, and they are promoting the R&D strategy, because we know that Japan is, market leader in the R&D strategy, especially on technical products and the business. Australia, again, it's a framework. Canada, there is a bill which it's combined with your PIPDA and the new personal data. I think it's comprehensively covering the aspects. So before moving on, I think let me share. Can you able to see my PDF document from the PPT?
Yes,
Yes,
please.
yes.
Great, thanks, sir. So
We
this
are
is
enjoying your
broader
session.
one. Yeah. So this is the one which I was referring. So this is a publicly available document I have taken. It was quite interesting for me, and quick snapshot which helped helped me to understand, hoping that all of us can get some insight on it quickly. So US and European Union, I'm 100% sure that the current act which is passed by the EU as well as the United States, what they are evaluating on the guidelines or coming up with the developments of the order which the president passed it, this is going to create a Brussels effect. I'm 100% sure. So because the Brussels effect is nothing but creating a precedent which creates a revolution in the other countries to relocate it or develop or create or adapt the regulations for them. I think that has happened in GDPR. We all seen that out. I'm sure that this is going to be the another Brussels effect this AI Act will create in the industry. Whether your organization you want to adopt or you don't want to adopt, it doesn't mean that you will be forcibly need to be followed. Companies like us, we are not doing much business in European Union, but 3-4 years before itself, we started adopting it. No choice, because end client may mandate me to have the GDPR compliance or ISO 27,000 certifications. So I need to go with that. So I think the same effect, ripple effect can happen in this AI as well. Any guidelines and governance comes. If you look at it, the United States, as I said, they are focusing on the sector specific. European Union is definitely focusing on the comprehensive legislation, and which is always giving an importance to the users. And it's a risk based. There are 4 categories of risk, which as I indicated. But when it comes to US, it's going to emphasize the best practices across the sector, what needs to be followed, and every system in the sector has to ensure transparency and accountability. I think that's the key aspect which they would like to drive in. And the actions, what they would like to look at it is lot of discussions which are happening in the Senate. I think in European Union also multiple authorities and the stakeholders has been called for meetings to share their views, how this can be adopted, all this technical, the discussions are happening. Some of the actions has been taken, which is very, very rigorous action. I doubt whether the other government would have taken. All the real-time facial recognition AI applications are stopped. So it's completely banned in EU, other than some of the locations which exceptionally they get the approval wherever they go with the national security or some legitimate purpose if they can prove with that. That's where they get the exceptions. The primary concerns when we look at it, both the angle, US law is always giving transparency and empowering the enterprises to do business. So it promotes and your innovations in the every angle of it. And yes, it's not compromising on your ethical aspects or the trust, those angles, but yes, ultimately it's a pro to an employers or pro to an your organization or enterprises or business. But when it comes to EU, it is always an more concern about the users, data subjects. So again, here they are primarily focusing on how it is going to have an impact to an end user. Based on the end user impact, they are going to categorize the products or applications as in whether high or medium or special transparency or whatever. So yes, I don't want to touch the socio-political landscape. It's the regular one. Yes. So coming back to the point, when we look at it, what are the challenges in implementing these regulations? I think any regulation, if we are implementing in today's scenario, it throws a lot of challenges to the authorities, stakeholders, government, enterprises, and ultimately the human beings. But 4 pillars which always they look at it broadly is 1, technology, ethical, social, and a legal angle to it. So any challenge, any regulation which is coming out, it has to pass through all these 4 and meet the criteria. It is beyond the circuit, it has to be fulfilled. I think that's where, and this law is also not kept away from that. So it needs to be focused on ethical, legal, and social responsibility. And wherein in this predominantly the action will be done by the developers, the technical team. So the users will be different here, two different stakeholders. So at some point of time, I wear the hat as an technology or AI developer. Some point of time, I can be a consumer. So anytime, any role, what I am performing, probably I need to look at it on the accountability angle. And defining and measuring AI. I think this is the one which we've been talking it on the explainability and transferability on every instant and action, which has to be clear. The outcome has to be clear and consistent. It cannot randomly take any decision, then again, it'll be considered as unbiased. The other major challenge, any regulation which comes, is that the dichotomy of balancing, which is between an innovation and protecting the informations. Yeah. So the protecting the protection aspect comes in terms of data privacy, security, or fairness, or human dignity. See, overall, that ambit to be taken care on that. And any law independently, if we come, I think we have been seeing that. I think more than 25 countries are proactively working on a lot of guidelines. I have just picked it up the top 10. If you look at it, harmonizing the regulatory framework, it's just going to be really challenging. That's where we know in data privacy also how Navi sir is trying to bring in the governance framework, which is specific to India. But the countries, of the companies or enterprises which is operating in multiple countries, it is going to be a challenging. So somewhere we need to bring, which is a threshold or thumbnail for our transaction, and then we have to map in what is missing, what is not missing, the country specific. So if AI is also bringing, it is going to complicate the enterprise compliance cost, operational cost, whether it's a direct cost, indirect cost on various angles. It's going to be a challenging for the organization. So we definitely look forward for some international cooperation and coordinations to have these standards so that it's easy, and probably we can build over and above it. And maintaining and performance. So the purpose of the systems or any application technology is create a more effectiveness and efficiency. If we keep building in multiple models, right, to interpret and provide these outcomes, if there are a lot of APIs or whatever we call, which runs multiple layers, it reduces the performance of the system, or it takes slightly a longer time, right? So I think that needs to be really taken care. That's a bigger challenge to an AI developers or any technical stakeholder who's handling this. Today, as I said, the standardization is lagging. It's not only from an international, even a country specific or a sector specific. I think that needs to come out. What kind of a standards or benchmark we need to follow today? Like a data privacy now, again, we are saying RBI is coming back separately, healthcare is coming back separately, and telecom is coming back with a separate guidelines. So similarly, I'm definitely sure probably, and AI also, then sector specific guidelines also or standards can also come back to one enterprises. Resource requirement. Yes, I think this is a challenge, as I said, whether if you want to implement any regulation. So every level you need a resource. It's not only from a technical side, you may need somebody to quality to validate or audit or compliances, or legally we need to implement. I think everywhere the headcount, although the specialization resources are required to manage this. Last but not least is definitely data privacy. I think the world is driven with data, and we are all more concerned on data privacy. So as I said, whether you like it or you don't like it, you are part of the gamut, and your data is already exposed in this digital world. So any application which is coming out or any techniques which is coming out has to be mindful of it and give this confidence and trust to us as a users. So some of the business benefits, I just again summarize the overall whatever we have spoken on this. So explainable AI is going to be the responsible AI. The responsible AI is been the buzzword which has been already used in India, or same thing which has been already in your EU Act, and even your order given by the US. So I think that's there. And right to explanation, which was one of the right, I think Article 2022, if I'm not 22, if I'm not wrong, in GDPR was giving. When GDPR came, everybody were looking at what is this right to explanation when there is an automated decision-making process was implemented in 2018. I think today that is going to be mapped, and it'll become more, provides a more clarity for all of us. What is that right? What I am expecting as a user under this particular legislation, that's going to be there. And other benefits, yes, it is going to help to mitigate your risk, complying with regulations and ethical principle, effective monitoring system, creating a trust. And if you look at it overall as an opportunity, And any technology advancement, whichever enterprise or whichever country who has been proactively building this competitive advantage is going to create and increase trust and market share and decision making and customer engagement. I think they are going to be the leader in this segment. It can be a country or it can be an enterprise, it can be a sector. However, whoever going to adopt this explainable AI, they will be a market leader. So I know that in 2024, the early 2024, it's going to be the radical era of artificial intelligence with the basic principles. Look for it is a complex, dynamic, and evolving topic. It requires collaboration, lot of contributions from an foundations like FTPPI or institutions has to submit a lot of white papers, create awareness both to the stakeholders, government, and users to give a benefit ultimately to human lives. Yeah. Thank you, sir.